So primary mate is a thing, but it's not in the form of polygamy that we're talking about, right? When we're talking about polygamy in this specific conversation, we're talking
Oh,
about
I wasn't specifically saying polygamy, but just, but go
yeah.
ahead.
No, but the topic is polygamy, right? So primary mate is an actual term. It's for polyamorous couples, so couples who have multiple partners but only have a relationship with one partner, right? That kind of sexual fantasy thing, that's in polyamory. But what we're talking about when this discussion is happening about polygamy is polygyny, right? So I think it's important to make that distinction because there are terms for those things. Primary mate does exist and it does have a role, just not in what we're talking about.
I know it was just a separate conversation. I'm sorry. It was just something I wanted to bring in because I think that there are two in what I'm saying. Maybe I don't want to use that word, but to be a husband, I want to make so there's steps to this. It's kind of like a criteria, like you have a qualification. Like if he's not even a husband, first of all, let's do this step first. Let's see if you're qualified to be a husband. You have the leadership. You can put your family first. Then we can go to one wife and then two wives, But if you can't get the foundation, and that's just simply putting your family first, penis discipline, being responsible, being committed to something, and that's your job, yourself, your family, then you probably shouldn't take on a wife, better yet, two or three. Does that make sense? So
I don't think if you can't develop a relationship with one person, taking on two is just foolish, right? It's super foolish if you can't have a relationship that can coexist peacefully. I talked to some men I've known throughout life, and they always would tell me like they remember I told you they warned me against marriage and said how messed up it was and how miserable they were and how they like some of them was on the countdown to divorce. And I'm just like, damn, I'm never gonna get married. And then when I set my relationship up, I'm like, what is they complaining about? This is so great. But I realize it's different ways people interact with they spouse, right? And that the happy wife, happy life kind of was the way they subscribed to the relationship. And doing is that they put what they wanted, what they needed, and what they thought about things kind of to the background in order to push that forward within the relationship. And I think that dichotomy, which is kind of what was pushed for us for a while, puts men in a position where naturally the respect level isn't there because they're always kowtowing to do exactly what she wants and falling up under her thumb, which breeds contempt from her, which we talked about before. So I think like currently the cycle and the way we think about it is broken based off of that.
nobody else wanted to contribute. Go ahead. No.
I can't. Never mind. Let me. I think it's interesting. Like I'm trying to reconcile the thought of okay, you have a perfectly functioning relationship. You're in a monogamous marriage, right? Just you, her, you're having a fantastic time. What is it that you think would cause a person to be like, one is dope. Let's get another one. Like what is the mindset or the thought process that would cause a person to be like, hey, I'm managing this really well. I want another one. Like, is that something that you talk to the first wife and be like, hey, listen, this is what I'm about to do. Are you cool with that? Are you gonna be with her? Like, what is because if I got a perfectly functioning relationship, marriage, like I'm like, okay, what reason do I have to add another one to the mix?
Okay. Can we explain the different? I would like to knock it down for the different. I don't know much about this subject. I'm gonna tell y'all now. I did this for Marky Mark. I don't know much about this subject at all. This was a promise. So what are the different types of? So there's polygamy. I think you just named a few. Can you explain those for me, Enos? Because I think some people think that they're getting one and they're actually getting the other one.
Yeah, so the three main ones are, so polygamy is like the umbrella that covers all of the polys, right? So under polygamy, there's polyamory. That's when both partners get to have multiple partners. Then there's polygyny. So that is when a man has multiple women. And then there's polyandry, and that's when the woman gets to have multiple men. I'm not sure what it is for like the same sex stuff or how that part works, but those are the three main ones under polygamy.
The current society we live in, what would you say this is? If you were to, well, I guess it's just cheating and lying and and breaking homes. I can answer my own question. Let me answer HD question. um, so I think that when you have like a really good thing going and you think it can just be multiplied, that's probably the mindset behind it, right? Like everything is going well. This is great. Like I can, it's like why be better? You know what I'm saying? Why do more? That's kind of how I hear the question. Because if it was like, so I talked to my uncle one time about it, and he was saying, I'm trying to get rid of the one I got now. I wouldn't get another one. But my interpretation was, this is great. This can be multiplied. Like I don't see why you wouldn't. But I think it's the way you approach life and approach how you deal in romance and how you deal with each other, right? So it's just a multiplication of what's already good.
So, it will there be a situation that you feel like you would have two wives?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I can see it. Yeah. What about you?
Listen, I'm not even gonna lie to you. At first, before I got divorced, I was just like, who would sign up for multiple women? Like,
Sound
one
like
is
mom?
enough of an
Sound like
issue.
my uncle.
Like, so, like, one, like, you say, hey, what do you want to eat? She's like, I don't know. All right, let's go here. I don't want that. Okay, what do you want? I don't know. Like, imagine having to do that with two women, right? Now, granted, since I've been divorced and I met fantastic women, I could see like why some brothers do, because I think that part of the reason why it was even such a thing is for survival, right? Like if you live in an area where resources are already thin, right? And like if there's no brothers around to help out, most people would be by themselves, they'd be struggling and it'd be hard for them to survive. So, like in many cases, you see, like even in the Bible, right? You got David. They just be acquiring wives, They don't always do it the right way or the best way, but you can see like, hey, I like this woman, I'm willing to take care of her. Or you got Solomon. Solomon is just an extreme case. But like biblically speaking, it's very hard to quantify from a Christian standpoint. But as far as a logic standpoint, I've met some fantastic women in my life where I'd be like, listen, if I wanted to take care of them, take care of multiple women, I would see a situation, but I don't know too many women like in general in life that would sign up for something like that without feeling like uh they are supposed to only get one woman or one man, and it's supposed to be 1 to 1.
All right. I think it's social programming because how many people currently believe that you're supposed to have multiple sexual partners before you get married?
I mean, that's a fair point because like it used to be taboo to be having kids out of wedlock. It still kind of is, but now people are actually asking, "Hey, I just want a kid, but I don't want to be married." So there's people actually saying, "Yo, like give me the kid. I don't want to marry you, but yo, let me get this kid from you and let me just go on about my married business." So, I mean, you're right. I think the thought, that's why I said that that is a major challenge to what Enos is saying is that, like, I think majority of women here in this area, I'm not talking about in the world, I think majority of women in the US, if you even just mention the thought of, oh, you about to bring another woman in this equation, absolutely not. Now, are there women that will deal with that? Sure, fantastic. 20% tops.